We are now joined in the media center by two of our race-winning team members. We have crew chief Paul Wolfe and Team Penske vice chairman Walt Czarnecki. Gentlemen, congratulations. Thanks for coming on in. Walt, we'll start with you. Today is a big day for Team Penske. Had a win in IndyCar and here in St. Louis. What's that mean for the organization?
Well, it means a lot. We didn't have a great weekend in Indianapolis last week, and we didn't have a great weekend in Charlotte last week either. So to come back and win Belle Isle and then win this race really means a lot. I was trying to remember when the last time we had a twofer, so to speak. I can't remember it clearly pre-pandemic, but it's a great day for all of us. It really was. And before I finish, I want to make sure that I congratulate Curtis Francois and Chris Blair and the team here at Worldwide Technology Raceway for a premier race. We've been track operators, and we are track operators. We see the way things are done. They did everything properly, and I think the thousands of people here enjoyed themselves. So congratulations to Curtis and Chris.
Awesome, thanks. And Paul, for you, can you talk to us just a little bit about the strategy and those last few laps of the race as well?
Yeah, going into the race today, obviously, we knew the tire fall off. We didn't see a lot of it in the practice we had on Friday. So we knew there was going to be some situations where it was going to be a tough call whether or not to pit. Now, as the race got going, I realized it was even more so than really what I initially thought it would be. And I'd kind of seen the 19, did the two tires earlier in the race, or mid part of the race, and was able to hold the lead well. And we came down to that last pit stop, and I don't remember exactly where we were, right around the 10th place or just out of the top 10. And was concerned about left side tires and the failures we've seen, but at this stage of the race, this was our opportunity if we were going to have a shot to win. And we have a win this year already, which gives us the opportunity to maybe be a little more aggressive. And I knew that was going to be our opportunity, was going to be to get off a pit road with two tires. So from there, Joey did a great job on those restarts. You never really knew what was going to happen. As big as the track position was in the clean air, he did a great job of being able to get by the 18 when he was leading. So it was fun to watch for sure.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you have one for Paul or Walt, please raise your hand and we'll bring a mic over to you. We'll start over here in the middle and then go to Bob.
Conley, the podium finish. Paul, I'm curious what you looked at for this track, trying to get a setup to balance one end to the other. Is it anything like maybe Pocono, Darlington, or the way that you had to work this track?
Well, I think for us, we consider this a short track, and it is the same tire combination we've run earlier this year at Phoenix, as well as Richmond. I'd say the way the surface is, Phoenix was probably more along the lines of what we would look at. Phoenix is very different from one end to the other. Still quite a bit different from this, but I think we kind of lean on that racetrack. As the tire and how the tire reacts to the cars is always a big part of our setup as well. I feel like whenever there's a tire change, that could change our setup a good bit. So being on the same tire as Phoenix, knowing that the surface has been repaved here recently, we kind of looked at that and kind of what we would expect based off of that race earlier this year.
We'll go to Bob and then to Tucker.
Bob Packers, Fox Sports. Paul, a lot's been made about being able to use cars at various different tracks. I'm curious if you know of when this car was used last or if it's a new car.
It's a good question, Bob, and fortunately I don't know off the top of my head. That just means it doesn't matter anymore. There's not cars that we take specifically to certain tracks. I'm not sure where this one was run last, but for sure there's just nothing different. This could be the same car we've raced at Daytona. That's the part about this that we've all looked forward to, is not being able to have track specific cars, and we can definitely move them around and take them from one track to the other.
Go ahead, Tucker.
All right, Tucker White, Last Word on Sports, right over here. So we were seeing with the tire fall off didn't really have much of an effect today, yet we still saw teams and cars cutting tires like your stablemate, so or with the 12 teams. So is it just teams not running what Goodyear's recommending, or if not, why exactly are we seeing tires being cut like this?
Yeah, well, I don't know that anyone in the garage is running maybe what Goodyear's recommending for air pressure. There's a lot of speed and grip in pushing the limits on the tires, and as a competitor, that's why everyone's doing it. And I don't think you see it just amongst one organization. I think if you look throughout the year, we've seen it throughout every team having issues. And like I said, that really just comes down to trying to get every last little bit. I think we're still learning as well where those limits are, and we're obviously right on edge. It was concerning to see the 12 have an issue. I made a small adjustment just because I know we're not extremely different in our setups amongst all our cars. So I made a small air pressure adjustment just to be a little more conservative once they had their issue. But I think as race teams, we're still trying to learn where the limit is at every track we go to, and the loading's different, and how we get around each racetrack. So we're still continuing to learn that and understand it.
Caleb Vestal with Speedway Digest. Paul, you mentioned the last time that you were at Gateway, you won in 2010 in October with Brad Keselowski. How neat is it to come back here for the inaugural Cup race and win that too?
Oh, it's obviously special anytime you can win a race, right? Especially at this level, it's so hard, and to be able to do it at the Cup levels, that's a whole nother league, obviously, and it was neat to me. The last time I was here was 12 years ago, and coming back here, you have forgot a lot of things about it, and so it was. But to Walt's point, what a great job they did putting on the race here, and it's a lot of fun to race here, and I know Joey had a lot of fun out there as well.
We'll go to Dustin, then to Lee, and then back to Tucker.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Paul, 2 wins in the last 4 races. You've had some back-to-back top 10s, but you've also had some finishes outside the 20s or even in the 30s. 15 races into the season with 11 to go in the regular season. Do you know how good you guys are, or where you guys are at this point with everything that's happened this year?
Not really, and it's funny, Walt and I were talking about that a few minutes ago. It's just how up and down it is right now with the learning curve and going to new racetracks and trying to understand the car. As good as we were this weekend right off the truck, you look back to Dover was probably our worst race of the year to date, and it was terrible, and we couldn't get nothing right. So it makes it even harder without practice, right? It was nice this weekend to get 50 minutes. It's not a lot, but it gives us the opportunity to try a few things and try to build our notebook as we move forward. Obviously, it's nice to have speed. Now we just need the consistency, right, and try to continue to put it together. But I don't know that any team's really shown every week. I feel like you never know what to expect every weekend when you show up. So at this point, we got to just keep learn from our struggles and continue to build on our successes and get ourselves in a good spot as we start the playoffs.
And I understand that, but also, I know each summer is always kind of the unique schedule with the different types of tracks. You've got a concrete track coming up. You get Sonoma, a concrete track. Road America, you've got a speedway race at Atlanta. These are all different types of things. How much does this help in terms of playoffs, or what does this stretch of all these different types of tracks help you guys with? Because it seems like it's hard to kind of get a read at this, now and even in the next few weeks.
Yeah, like I had said, we kind of look at what we had learned or did at Phoenix earlier this year. So I think as I look at this track, it was another data point for, I guess, short track racing for us, as we know we have those in the playoffs. Obviously, Loudon's coming up, another short track. So this is, I think, in general, you would probably say short tracks have been our strength, especially the 22 team. I think that's where we've had speed at most every short track. But yeah, there's a good stretch of road courses coming up here that there's a lot to learn there, as we have one of those in the playoffs as well. So It's definitely a good mix. I think we used to look back in the past and say, you know, the mile and a halfs were where it was at and what you needed to be good at to have a shot to win a championship, right? And as you really look at the schedule, there's more variety than just those mile and a halves. So with the mile and a halves not being our strength right now, I'm not disappointed in that either.
We'll go to Lee, then back to Tucker, and to Kelly.
Paul, just kind of curious, you said short tracks are your strength, but let's face it, the short tracks earlier this year, the action just did not seem like traditional short track action. It just wasn't scintillating. I know they're going to work on a Martinsville test to try to figure some things out, but I guess with the heat and having time to work on your short track program, this race did not disappoint from an entertainment value. I don't know what it was from where you were sitting, but, I think from a spectator standpoint, it was pretty sporty. Is it just the gains that the teams are making on the car at this point that, kind of made this a more competitive race?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're getting smarter about it, but I think some of the strategy stuff and how that played out today, I think we saw, that flip-flop at times with guys staying out versus coming to get tired. So I think that kind of mixes up the field a little bit. And, the track widened out really well, I thought, here. And there was multiple grooves, which anytime we can have multiple grooves, we're going to be able to put on a better race. From there, I mean, the other piece I think that makes the racing really good is tire fall off. And unfortunately, we didn't have that here, but I think for what we had, yeah, I agree, it got exciting. I think the restarts and those types of things always make it interesting, and we're able to see guys pass. Honestly, I thought like whoever got the lead was going to win the race. To see Joey be able to make that move on the 18 once he had cleared him and had the lead, I was impressed by that move because it seemed like once you got the lead, it was hard to pass. So I think that just speaks to being able to run a different lane. We ran a different lane down 3 and 4, so I think they did a good job of the racetrack, and multiple grooves make for better racing, obviously.
We'll go to Tucker and then to Kelly.
Follow-up question from earlier on the teams not running what Goodyear's recommending. So at what point should NASCAR step in and take a page from Formula One and actually enforce what Goodyear is recommending teams should be running?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a question you should be asking me, but I think from a team side, I think we could work together as an industry to understand why we're having the failures and maybe as a group come up with a solution, because nobody wants to go out there and be thinking who's going to blow the next tire, right? But at the same time, like I said, as a team, you can't just leave that on the table. There's speed there, so you're always going to push to the limits. I do remember when I first got into the Cup Series, there was a minimum air pressure where Goodyear would set, and NASCAR would try to police that during the pit stop. So that's really hard to do when you have 40 cars out there and trying to make sure everyone put the right air pressure in before the pit stop. So I don't know that we need to go there. I think just as a group, we need to try to come up with a solution to get ourselves in a spot where we're not that on edge.
We'll take this last question from Kelly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Paul, where are you guys at with inventory, parts and pieces? Do you feel comfortable yet?
No. I don't know when we'll feel comfortable, and I mean we're still just getting by, and I think we're doing a great job with what we have to work with, but we're definitely not in a spot where we can feel comfortable about it, and hopefully we'll eventually get to that. But I think right now it's just everyone's on equal playing field here, so it's whoever can manage what they've got the best.
Coming into the year, we kept hearing the summer months hopefully was going to be that mark when inventory and parts and pieces would be a little bit better. So you say, well, hopefully we'll get there. Do you have an idea of when you feel good about where you're at?
Honestly, I probably can't answer that question well for you. I don't personally. Fortunately, we have a great group back at the shop that kind of manages that more than I do. I try to just worry about getting the setups in the cars and whatnot, and so I probably can't answer that question great for you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both for joining us, and congratulations.
By the way, I had one other comment. I meant to say it earlier. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Blaney for what he did for his teammate. It was a great team win today for Team Penske, and I think Ryan demonstrated that with that push on that last start. So I want to make sure that he got the recognition for what he did. So here's the star of the show. So Paul and I'll exit the scene.